Hey folks, Chris McLean, Peak Performance and Transformation Coach, back again with yet another episode of the Peak Performance and Predictable Growth Show, the Peak Performance show for creative agency founders, owners, and leaders, where we explore the agency journey from the unique perspectives of those at the coalface of the industry. My guests help unlock and dissect strategies, tools, and tactics that are working right now in the trenches to help you deliver better results for your clients and grow and scale your agency to 6 and 7 figures and beyond. And it's my pleasure today to welcome Chanelle Le Roux from NINKI onto the program. And NINKI is a boutique content marketing agency that provides a full suite of content services with side dishes of digital marketing strategy and training. Chanelle, welcome on board.
Hey.
Great to have you on the show.
Hey, Chris, thank you for having me. Gosh, that was a smooth intro. What a pleasure.
Well,
and you got my name right, which is brilliant.
Yeah, perfect. Good. Got my pronunciation right.
Awesome.
Is it a French origin or?
It is a French origin. I'm originally from South Africa, but we've got heritage in Dutch and French streams. So yes, it's French.
Okay, awesome. So tell us about NINKI. You're a content marketing agency. And tell us about what you guys do.
Yeah, so I'm actually a digital marketing specialist. I've been in the industry for almost 11 years now, but I chose to specialize in content marketing because for me personally, that's just the most exciting and the most creative space in marketing. So although I've got experience in strategy and paid advertising and all that kind of thing, what I chose to specialize in was content marketing. So NINKI started 3 years ago. I've spent most of my life working for big corporate companies, and after they destroyed my soul, I decided that it was time to create my own little business. So NINKI specializes in content marketing. We also do digital strategy, and I also offer digital marketing workshops and digital marketing training, so that should a business want to upskill their team, I can come in and I can kind of show them what they need to do. So those are the 3 key services that we offer.
Okay, amazing. And let's kick off. What's hot in content marketing right now?
Oh boy. So Instagram and TikTok are big ones. Instagram is constantly changing and they're always releasing new features. It's a pain in the ass, to be honest. Every day I open my phone and there's something new. So things like Instagram Reels are massive. TikTok is massive. Instagram's releasing Instagram Live Room soon. So that's a big one. And then things like video content, that's been big. It's still big. So I really recommend that everybody get on top of their video content. It's incredibly important as part of your marketing strategy. Those would probably be the main things that are hot right now. And then there's sort of like the OG content trends like blogging, which is still very much an effective strategy in terms of your content marketing.
I guess it always comes back to who you're trying to target, right? Who you're trying to speak to, and where does that avatar hang out?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so definitely seen a lot of trend in video, and particularly short video, like you said, TikTok, Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, Facebook. Facebook stories, these sort of portrait, short 30 to 1 minute long videos. Is that like a really booming space for sort of where you're working on at the moment, that sort of shortened, quick attention span stuff?
Yeah, and it's actually really challenging for business owners because platforms like TikTok and Instagram are they're basically forcing people to all become entertainers. And so it's quite hard for businesses because not everybody wants to jump on a reel and like dance and point at things because it's just not what they want to do. So it's really hard for some businesses to leverage, those platforms and the reach and the opportunity they present, because unless you're doing all these crazy entertaining things, then your reels kind of don't get any reach. So we try and work with our clients to develop strategies where they can kind of get in on the action, but do it in a way that's authentic to their brand and authentic to their industry. But our attention spans are gross at the moment, myself included. It's, we live in a world where information is so easily accessible, and we've just got all these little tidbits of information. If we're bored of it, we can move on. I mean, our ability to sit through things is shocking. And the internet's not helping with that. So Despite the
Yeah.
fact that I'm in marketing, I see the issue it causes for the world.
Yep, and that we're literally filming a show for the internet. Apart from that, but you're absolutely right. I mean, and for what I do, the biggest stumbling block I find is distraction. Distraction management is the number one thing. There's so many things just pulling our attention. It's really important to barricade attention and focus.
But what I do have to say about that, though, is that this is one of the reasons why I got into content marketing. So there's something that I say, which is ads help you be seen and content helps you be chosen. And it's not enough for brands to just put ads in front of people and expect them to buy from them. It's just not okay. People expect to build trust and relationships with businesses and brands before they actually buy from them. And content marketing allows businesses that opportunity to do that. So when I worked in like programmatic and paid advertising many years ago, it was all just like ads, sell, buy. And that whole consumerism vibe, it was just quite soul destroying. So I like the fact that with content marketing, all you're actually doing is supplying content to your viewers that's helpful, that's relevant, that adds value to their lives, that aligns with their personal values. And then just because you've done that, they like you. And because they like you, they trust you. And then when they trust you, they buy from you. So I like the fact that content marketing is that little piece of marketing that's actually got a little bit of human touch. And that's why, our approach with our tagline is content that connects, because that's the whole reason why we do what we do. We create content to connect with an audience and to help them solve things, solve their problems and talk to their obstacles and talk to their fears and frustrations and needs and desires and actually be quite valuable to them. So I think, although, yes, there's all these ads that are vying for people's attention, there is that beautiful little sweet spot in content marketing where you can actually just be human with your potential customers or your existing customers.
Yeah, it's always an interesting space. And it sort of does depend on whether are you a personal brand, right? Are you a coach or a consultant or a solopreneur, entrepreneur versus a Fortune 500 company. So there is some dependency, but in terms of that humanness, that authenticity, being yourself on camera and sort of sharing, how when you're talking to your clients, how much do you recommend? Where's that sort of end point of this is how much of myself I really should be sharing? Like how close to here's me and my breakfast,
Yeah, it's such a good question because I know on Instagram, if we write a really personal, vulnerable, raw story about ourselves, we get so much more reach and engagement than if we just say, here's my coffee or whatever, just something it's just a very thoughtless, thoughtless post. And so these social media channels are actually forcing businesses to like bare their soul because it gets more reach, which is crazy. So, I think you do have to just sit down and think about a strategy and how much you do and don't want to share. I think the biggest thing that people want to know are challenges that people have gone through and how they've overcome those challenges. So, if you had some horrid physical, challenge that happened to you and that's something you don't really want to talk about, then you don't have to talk about that. But, real problems that people have gone through and found a way to solve is always what people want to hear. And you can craft that story in a way where you're not giving too much. So it kind of just comes down to really good storytelling and knowing what you're happy to share, what you're not happy to share, and then just, consulting your marketing team to say, is this something that is okay to share or is it not?
Yeah. And how do you find in that sort of that balance of as a personal story, like I said, about a challenge, something that I've overcome, do you always need to link that back to the business challenge of your consumer or a business aspect, or is can it be completely unrelated and just about something that I've gone through as a human being for that relatability?
Yeah, it can totally not be business related, because the point is just to build the connection. And you're not going to do that if you're trying to sell them something. So you've just got to take a step back from the for sale sign in your hand and just have a moment where you're a human and they're a human, and you're just telling a story that sometimes it's business related, sometimes it's not business related. You can do a combination of both. But generally what people do is they use just, hey, I'm a human, to connect with someone, to build that connection, build that trust. And then you do start to slowly plug in more kind of strategic messaging if you actually want to sell that person something. But generally you want to do, I mean, it all comes down to your content marketing strategy. So when we lay out all of our different content pillars, we'll have some posts that are just purely storytelling. And then we'll have other posts that are there with call to actions to kind of get people to take action. So you kind of do a combination of both in your marketing strategy.
Yeah. And what's the sort of balance? I mean, classically, Gary Vee always sort of says jab, 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 right hook, right? So offer more value and more non-business and non-sales content. Is there a sort of a percentage that you kind of aim for, like 1 out of every 4 posts has sort of a call to action, or 1 out of 10, or is it just really?
I'd say 1 out of 5.
Okay. Yeah.
I would say, yeah. And you can there's different types of call to actions. You can have really soft call to actions, and then you can have really hard call to actions. So, you might just say, hey, if you're struggling with your digital marketing, like drop me a line. It's a call to action, but it's a bit more laid back versus one that's like buy now. So you can you can have very subtle call to actions that you can weave into your content that are a little bit easier on the eye, and they can actually get more action because people aren't stupid. They know when they're being sold to.
Yeah. The bullshit meters off the charts these days.
Yeah, exactly.
It's very, very careful ground to tread. Now, this is a thing that I always find difficult, and especially when you're started trying to get into a new platform, something like TikTok. How often should we be posting? And I know this changes on the program and the algorithm and all that kind of stuff, but how often should we be posting? 4 times a day, a few times a week?
Yeah.
Is there a catch-all kind of? Is it very dependent on the platform?
So I think there's a couple of things to look at. So firstly, if you're doing your social media on your own, don't kill yourself trying to post things as regularly as what people might tell you to do, because a lot of business owners do their own social media and they don't have the time to buckle down to what the social media platforms want you to do. I can tell you that on Instagram, you should post once a day. You should be doing feed posts once a day. You should be doing a reel every couple days, every day if you can, and you should be doing stories every day. Instagram is like the bratty child in the family. It wants all the attention. It wants all the things, and it is a content hungry beast. So I see more impact when I post daily on Instagram on my client accounts. As far as Facebook goes, you can get away with posting 3 times a week on Facebook. And you have to be a bit more selective with what you put on Facebook. So with Instagram, you can put loads of memes and value content and photos and videos and all of that. But with Facebook, we're a little bit more selective of what we put on there. Platforms like TikTok, you could also probably be doing daily. But I think if you've got a team that's doing it for you, then you can use those guidelines. If you're doing it yourself, doing it 3 times a week is fine. If you can do it every day, do it every day. But, at least 3 times a week is fair, because we don't all have time to sit and muck around with reels, which are incredibly time consuming.
Yeah, no, that's good to hear, because you do look at those stats and you look at the recommendations. It's like, well, I got to post 4 times a day on TikTok, then I got to do a reel and a YouTube and a thing, and then I've got 20 pieces of content to do every day just to stay afloat. It can be it's
hard work. Yeah, and I mean, it's why people pay us to do it for them, because it is so time consuming. And if you've got all the ideas in the world of what you want to post, you don't have the time for it, or you don't have the ideas. I've actually got a product called Everyday Social, which is a social media content calendar with 365 days of social media content ideas, so that if business owners want to just look at the calendar and be like, okay, that's something I can do today, they don't have to think about it. It's all plotted out in the calendar, which is really helpful. So yeah, and the other thing in terms of, it's really hard for business owners because I think they feel like they have to be everywhere doing everything all the time. And it's really hard to know what platforms you want to choose. So you don't need to be on every single platform. You absolutely don't. I'll sometimes talk to clients and they'll say, oh yeah, we've got a Twitter account. And I'm like, why? You sell fruit on the side of the road, whatever it is. They're a small business. They don't need Twitter. So you can be selective on what platforms you choose to use, and you can also be selective on how much you choose to use them. So it all starts with your audience, right? So wherever your audience is spending time, if they're not using TikTok, don't be on TikTok. If they're not using Instagram, don't be on Instagram. If they're on LinkedIn, then spend your time on LinkedIn, and manage your strategy where you might just have like, I don't get my leads from Instagram, so I don't put loads of work into my Instagram. I just put whatever work I need to. I put in the bare minimum to keep my account active. But that's not where my audience is. That's not where my leads are. So I just do what I need to do on Instagram, and I spend more time on LinkedIn because that's where my leads are. So think about where your audience is, and then just pick and choose what platforms you're going to, be on, and how much effort you're going to put into each one based on where your audiences are.
Yeah, awesome. On LinkedIn, take us through LinkedIn, because it's quite a distinct channel. I feel that way anyway. It's quite distinct to the more social media, because it is much more of a professional network. Obviously, it's becoming much more like a Facebook feed these days, but I still feel like the connection and the intention inside LinkedIn is very different. The context very professional and business driven. Take us through how you're using LinkedIn, how you're seeing LinkedIn, what's working over on that side of things.
Yeah, so LinkedIn is awesome, and I think it's got a much higher conversion rate than trying to get leads and nurture them in platforms like Instagram and Facebook. That's not to say that you can't get leads and convert them in those sorts of social media platforms. But for me personally, I drive awareness in Facebook and Instagram, but my conversions happen more on LinkedIn. So in terms of the different types of content, obviously, because LinkedIn is a professional network, your content can't be as funsy as what it is on Facebook and Instagram. So you want to avoid things like memes and crazy GIFs and all of that kind of stuff. It's a little bit drier, but you can find ways to make your content a bit more exciting. Basically, in LinkedIn, you want to show your credentials, your experience, what you're working on, the challenges you're helping your clients overcome, the challenges you've overcome. So it's definitely got more of a professional flair in terms of the content you put out. LinkedIn has launched LinkedIn stories, so you can now do stories. And I'd recommend that you showcase your brand personality and the fun that you have to offer in your LinkedIn stories, and then keep the content kind of professional. So that's the sort of content that you would put on LinkedIn. And it's got when you set up a LinkedIn page, like a company page, you subscribe to certain hashtags. And whenever someone uses those hashtags in their content, you get a notification. So let's say, for instance, I want to connect with digital marketing agencies, which is one of my key audiences. I might subscribe to digital agency. And then anytime a digital agency uses that hashtag, I'll get a notification that says someone has used this hashtag. Then you go on and you start interacting with the content under your business name. So it gives your business more visibility in the tool. So it's like networking, right? So when you're at a networking event, you go up to people and you say, "Hi, I'm Chanelle from NINKI." LinkedIn is the same. You go and you leave comments under your business name, and that helps you to just increase your brand name visibility. But then LinkedIn is also great to grow your business, because you can contact people and introduce yourself and say, "Hey, I see that we're in a similar industry. There might be an opportunity for us to work together," or whatever it might be. So it's a great way to actually meet people and get new clients in. I wouldn't recommend buying software that automatically sends spammy emails to people on LinkedIn, because those do not work. I spend a lot of time prospecting and stalking people on Facebook before I contact them on LinkedIn. And just really fun, amazing story. I found a guy that I wanted to connect with. I stalked him on Facebook. I saw that he used to do boxing. And so when I messaged him in the subject line, I said, "Are you still boxing?" And he would have thought, "How does she know that I used to box? Who is this crazy stalker lady?" And he said it was like one of the only cold outreach emails he's ever replied to, because I'd done my research. So they do work, but take your time to really personalize it and do your stalking. It's a great excuse to stalk.
Yeah, that's actually a really interesting point. The automated software is always quite a kind of a contentious thing, and people want. It's an interesting discussion around, do I scale, right? Just want to message 100 people a day and just connect and get that number game going, Or do I just want to connect to 10 people that are super focused, as you said, that I've stalked? I know they're my ideal audience and I can personalize those 10 connections.
Yeah.
I'm feeling that what you're saying is that's the better strategy, is to go smaller, to go niche, to really just find a few people to connect with that are going to be ideal, rather than going broad and trying to slam hundreds of connections every day. And
I think so. There's a phrase. I don't want to swear on your show, but there's a phrase. There's a phrase of people who go out and give too much to people all the time.
Right.
Like they're a bit of a prospecting slut. It's like they go out and they just go to loads and loads and loads of different people. And I think that can do it. It can hurt your brand to do that.
Right.
So I think it's better to be selective. I mean, you should be doing that anyway, right? If you're a business, you should have a niche target market that you're going after. You don't want to be everything to everyone and go out and contact loads of different people. You want to be very clear on who you're trying to approach and who you want to bring in as a client into your business. And I don't want to work with people I don't want to work with anyone. I'm very selective of who I work with. I want to work with nice people who respect me and respect my time, and I respect them, and they're not going to ask me for discounts or, ask for my firstborn child and not appreciate the work that I do. So yeah, I think this, but at the same time, I understand it's not sustainable. It's not sustainable to grow a business doing all of that kind of stuff manually. But you might want to look into getting like an intern, and an intern can help you prospect those clients and do the research that you can send a really personal touch, but you can do it with 2 people instead of 1. But yeah, automation is great, don't get me wrong, but you just have to make sure you take the right approach with it so that you're not just spamming people.
Yeah, so we bought human automation, went through VAs and interns and assistants. Yeah, it seems 100%. A much safer strategy, I suppose, from a LinkedIn banning perspective. And from what I understand, it's very, very easy to get banned on LinkedIn if you're using the automation software and the Chrome browser add-ins and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And like also just be respectful of people's time. Do you know what I mean? Like we don't have a lot of it. So if you're going to contact someone, like make sure that you've taken time to like find out who they are or what they do or what they're interested in, or to try and build a common connection. Spamming them with botty stuff is not, I don't know how that works for anyone. I know it does, but I'm like, I don't know how, because I see those, I can call, I can see that it's a bot, and then I'm like, I'm not interested. So
yeah.
Human connections.
Human connection. I think that exactly that, and that applies everywhere. You're trying to connect to other human beings. So imagine, so the age-old analogy. Imagine we're in a bar and you walked up to somebody and started a conversation. That sort of frame. You're not going to walk in and go, "Hi, I'm Chris, and this is my offer, and this is what I could do. Would you like to jump on a phone call with me right now?"
Exactly.
It's more of a, hey, how are you? What do you do? Notice you had the similar shirt to what I like these shirts too. That conversation.
Exactly.
Yeah, so keep it natural, keep it human.
That would make quite a funny skit, actually. Like if people spoke the way that they did in cold outreach bot-generated emails.
Yeah, in a pickup bar.
Like a good little skit.
You'd be going home alone a lot of the time.
100%.
Just before I think that's super valuable, just to keep that in mind, human to human connection. We're still, even though we're marketing and we're trying to get sales and we're trying to get conversions and ROI and all these metrics, and we're trying to grow our business, we always want to be humans, and we want to connect to other human beings, because that's what businesses are. They're organizations of other human beings. So very important to keep that in mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
Last question, sort of before we wrap, and this is massive generality, but if you had to pick a content style between copy, images, and video, and I know it's very dependent on target audience and learning types and all that kind of thing, in terms of a trend, what's trending the most, and what are you seeing getting the most conversion, value, attention in the current marketplace?
To be honest, video is always a big thing because it's what people want to consume. So it's definitely a big hot trend. But what I find actually works best for me personally, and even for some of my clients, is a combination of excellent copy and a beautiful image. So I think all three of those things are equally important, but it just so happens that at the moment I'm finding that content with a beautiful image and a story, like a caption, a really beautifully written caption, it's actually performing better than some of our video content pieces. And, you know, that might be because of us, it might be because of an algorithm, it might be because of the audience. Sometimes you know, sometimes you don't know. But I would, you do definitely need to have good copy. I wouldn't just say, okay, video is big, so just do video. You need to have text, because text is what the algorithms scan. They can't scan the content of videos, but they can scan text, which is why it's important to make sure you've always got a long description or a long caption, or even things like your LinkedIn profile. You need to have them populated with lots and lots of copy, and copy that includes keywords about your business, because when someone hits search and the algorithms go out and do their thing, that's what they're scanning. They're scanning the text. So really, really quick hack that I'd recommend that people do is they set aside an hour a month where they sit in front of a camera and film themselves doing their video content for their social media channels in that month, and then repurpose that video. So send it to your social media team. They can then turn that video into a blog post, and then micro pieces of content like social media posts, or they can quote you and then they can do a quote post. So start with video and then turn that into your text content. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I think that's awesome. I think
that's really efficient that way.
Yeah, and that repurposing of content, even just for myself, I found that's quite useful, just to shoot an 8 to 10 minute video and then splice that down into 5 or 6 different kind of micro grabs. And then out of that, you get a couple of quote pieces, some cards, some images, and you might get a couple months worth of content out of one video. If you're posting once or twice a day, that 10 minutes of time can actually equate to quite a bit of content. So I think that's and when you talk about repurposing and different formats and different sizes and all the different platforms, it can be quite valuable. So I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, and it's helped us so much. We just set aside an hour a day. I don't like wearing makeup, but we'll put makeup on for the day, and then we go and we sit and we shoot, and then we literally have like a month or two of content. So it's a great way to do it.
Yeah, no, I think that's an awesome hack, and it makes making a lot of content a lot more approachable. If you approach it, all I've got to do, sit down. I mean, 8 to 10 minutes flies by. I mean, we're almost 30 minutes into this show, and it feels like about 5 minutes went by. So to actually sit and just talk about something you're passionate about for 10 minutes is pretty easy to do.
Absolutely.
Like I said, if you do have a team like the team at NINKI that can help you turn that into much more programmatic type content, then it's a really, really good way to get it done. And
absolutely.
On that note, if people do want to get in touch with you and come work with you and get their content optimized across channels, what's the best way for them to get in touch?
How old school am I? You can just email me, but let's start with the website. Pop onto our website. You can have a cheeky look at what we do, and then if you'd like to contact us, you can contact us through our website. You can also contact us through Facebook or LinkedIn. Let's just say that you can contact me on any one of these channels.
Any one of these.
That'll do. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, thanks for coming on the show. So as always, it's sort of fast and furious, and we're powered through a good almost 30 minutes now, but I think there's a lot of value in that, because I think this is this even for marketing agencies, right, and ad agencies, making content for ourselves and getting our own brands out there. We can tend to do this for everybody else, but then not sort of spend the time to market our own services and create content for our own businesses. So a couple of those quick hacks, if you can just sit in front of a camera for 5-10 minutes, film something, and then have your team or have an external team turn that into months worth of content. It's a really good way to think about how you can approach just getting content out, staying active across different platforms, and then picking. We recommend sort of 1 or 2 platforms as a major place to be.
I think it depends on where your audience is. So just go with wherever they are, and then, just take it from there. If they're not really active on Instagram, don't worry too much about Instagram. If they're on LinkedIn, then spend more time on LinkedIn. Because there's some industries that just won't like finance industries generally don't do very well on Instagram. You're better off being on LinkedIn and Facebook. So it just depends. But even if you've got any questions and you're not sure where to start, I'm happy for you to just drop me a line, for anyone to drop me a line and just say, look, I'm finding this overwhelming. Where do I even start? I offer digital marketing strategy consulting calls, so I can give you a bit of a guide as to where you need to start and what you need to do or what you don't need to do. And then, should you decide that you don't want to do it yourself, you can palm it off to us and we can do it. Content can be a big pain in the ass, but it's a pain in the ass that we really enjoy. So, yeah.
Amazing.
Awesome. Thank you, Chris. It was such a pleasure chatting to you. You're a bloody lovely bloke, and you've got a wonderful moustache.
Yes, well, thank you. That's the main point of the podcast, is just to get more exposure for the mustache. I appreciate that. So
I'm leading with a strong. It's gorgeous. I love it.
Yeah, I'm going for brand recognition here. So.
If I hadn't waxed mine today, you might have had a run for your money there.
Yeah. Well, next time we'll get you back on. Next time we'll have a moustache off. How about that?
Yeah, awesome. Cool. Thank you so much, Chris.
Thank you, and thank you for your time. Thanks everyone for tuning in. I had a blast. I'm sure there was a lot of value in that. A lot of takeaways and a lot of really cool hacks to get your content up and running. So thanks for tuning in. And as always, we'll see you on the next one. See you then, guys. Cheers.